Hello internets, this is BoneCarlos coming to you live from Antigua Shipyards to bring you another StarCraft 2 commentary. Today the players are none other than Cryptic spawning as the red Protoss. His opponent is going to be PANsaytrledr spawning as the blue Terran. Already Cryptic hopes Pan, as I will forever call him from here on out, hopes that he sucks. Just because why not play against a sucky player if you can help it. Now this is a low level play, and by low level play I do mean bronze, so both these players are bronze, but nonetheless we all started off somewhere, and let's go ahead and see what kind of cheeky shenanigans that these two come up with. Like I said, the map is Antigua Shipyards. It's a map, I think it started off in Season 3 and it's still in circulation on the ladder today, obviously, since both these players are blue and red, giving away that ladder positioning and whatnot. We see Cryptic just putting down a straight pylon into gateway, so nothing too crazy there. But like I was saying, there were a couple of changes being made to Antigua Shipyard. Most notably was a terrain change that allowed siege tanks to hit this Vespin Geyser from here by siege tanks. So that was changed. I think they just cut back here a little bit, maybe moved it a couple of pixels over, so that way those shells could not reach across that distance. But other than that, it's been a fairly straightforward map. It's very easy to grab and secure your natural expansion with only a single wide ramp leading up to it. And again, very easy to grab your third as long as your opponent does not spawn here. If it does spawn in the counterclockwise positioning, then it is very difficult to secure your third expansion, since they are going to be attacking from these avenues of attack here and here, making this very vulnerable, and especially to some sort of drop or air attack. So in PANsaytrledr's Pan's dilemma is going to be securing his third if it gets to that point. If he does try to secure this third, we're going to see Cryptic going to either be attacking through air, and this is going to put him in this spot very easily, or the avenue of attack, like I was saying, is going to be from here. I'm going to leave this command center very vulnerable, and the only other option would be either take the gold or take the third over here, and that's still just as vulnerable as building it here, since the area to defend it is just so long from your natural expansion. So right now Pan is definitely in behind just by the spawning points and spawning locations, but let's see if he does make up for it. Cryptic is already building actually double gateway before cybernetics core, so it looks like he's gonna go out with a 2 zealot rush attack. Now normally this is very good up against Protoss, especially if they don't scout. You see 2, 3, 4 zealots in your base before you even have, especially if you don't scout it, before you have any sort of defense. And having 3 or 4 zealots chasing down one zealot and 1 stalker, you could always peel off, use 3 zealots to attack the main force and peel off 1 zealot to attack the probes before your cybernetics core is even already up, and before their cybernetics core is even up, and you lose plenty of probes that way, especially if you just don't time it correctly, you don't scout it correctly, and you just don't micro correctly. Losing 3 or 4 or 5 probes, even just minuscule damage like that, puts you so far behind, since your opponent isn't losing any sort of probes to begin with. They're pretty much sacrificing tech for doing early economic damage, and that's just very difficult to deal with and catch up as Protoss against Protoss. But since Cryptic did build it blind, he has no idea where Pan is. He's just guessing that it's a cross map, but he is not there. So yeah, your opponent is Terran. Terrans can wall off. Even if Cryptic knew exactly where his opponent off, the wall off would have already been completed, and these zealots could have been pummeling at these supply depots ad nauseum. You just need a single SCV to repair it, a single marine to repel the zealots, and you're going to be a-okay. Cybernetics score is up actually, so warp gate is about 25% completed. It looks like there's going to be an early aggression on the field, so I already see 2 stalkers with 3 zealots and a robotics facility. So hopefully we see some sort of drop harassment, maybe attacking at the front with the original main force that you created, and then just attacking at the back with your warp prism. So hopefully something like that does go down. But we already see a double tech lab with those 2 barracks for Pan. He's already had stem being researched, concussive cells is being researched as well alongside it. Actually, it's combat shield, so those marines are going to be very strong in the early part of the game, but no concussive shells. I hope he does build that as soon as possible. He is running a little bit of a resource surplus. So right now, if he has that, why not plop down a couple of extra bunkers, or better yet, pop down a command center, since you do have a very interesting lead economic wise. I mean, you don't know it, but you do have a very interesting lead. So a small force of Pan is pushing out, and it looks like a small force of Cryptic is going to go ahead and catch it as well. And 3 Zealots, 2 Stalkers versus 6 Marines and 2 Marauders. And looks like, yeah, they're both scouting cross map positioning, and that is bad for Pan, since his main army is going to attack the wrong spot. And looking at Cryptic's point of view, he has scouted every single possible vantage point except the one where it's at. And this force, 3 Marines, 1 Marauder, is definitely going to be able to take, is definitely going to lose to this force of Cryptic. He might get a couple of kills. He's definitely going to kill that single Marine out there, but they're just... Pan finally does catch it, starts attacking a single Stalker, trying to focus fire down one, but it does go down before any, all of the forces for Terran does go down before they're able to take down a single Stalker. It looks like Cryptic does smell blood in the water. He's just trying to rally forward, trying to take down as much as possible. These 2 Stalkers are blocking the field for these Zealots, and if these Zealots were up front, they would have taken down the supply depot in time. The units are going to catch up to it. The supply depot is going to go down, but it's going to be too little too late, since the units for Pan are going to get there to try to save the day. This Marine is going to go down, so is this Marine, but now that the forces for Pan are there, it's going to be a different ball game. 1 Stalker goes down and focus fired immediately down by Pan. The 2nd Stalker does go down as well. Now all left is those Zealots, but no micro is being happening, but that is a-okay, since there you go, Pan. A little bit of micro goes a long way, and if you had concussion shell, this would be actually a lot easier. But wow, you just saw those Zealots just rip through those Marines, rip through those Marauders, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by that. I love seeing Protoss forces chew into Terran players day in, day out, and as you can see, that little skirmish did definitely favor Cryptic. We see another Zealot is going to go ahead and push forward. It looks like maybe a single Marine is going to go down, 2 Marines are going to go down, and a Mortal is there on the field. Not powerful, not very useful against Marines, but those Marauders are going to get churned out and bullied relentlessly, very, very easily. A supply depot is going to be built, and this Immortal is going to try to focus fire down that supply depot. The supply depot does go down now. It's going to be pure Marines versus Stalkers and Zealots and a single Immortal, and right now it looks bad for Pan. There is nothing on the field to be able to defend this. Units for Cryptic are in the SCV line. The damage is being done. Looking at the worker kill count, we already see 8 workers killed. We see 27 units killed, 10 workers count, and it looks like this orbital command might go down. The liftoff has occurred, so only a single Stalker can attack it, and that orbital command is going to lift off, live to fight another day, and damage is being done too. Cryptic's economy command center is morphing into a planetary fortress. Sure, why not a PF fortress right in your main base? As oh crap move is definitely what you want to do. This Immortal is going to kill plenty of Marauders, but it looks like Cryptic is going to go ahead and push forward straight into that planetary fortress. He finally does spot it and says, holy crap, I might be in trouble. It looks like a Warp Prism is on the field to just survey the damage being done, just hang out for the time being. It looks like Cryptic was not expecting that planetary fortress to be there, but too little too late. It looks like a Zealot's going to push forward trying to take out a single Marauder, and it gets killed in the process. So looks like 4 gates and a there you go, and a single robotics facility. That second investment geyser hasn't been taken yet. I would like for him to put down his expansion. Just now he did tons of damage. I mean, looking at the workers killed, 14 workers killed, 35 units killed. Taking a look over at the resource loss station, we see 2,500, 40 units lost. Lost another unit somewhere. Oh, interesting. And yeah, so very good play by Cryptic so far, but the only thing is he hasn't really been building anything else. He has tons of minerals to be able to just start producing units. He's waiting for that robotics bay to finish up so he can start producing those Immortals and those Colossi. But I would like to see him just start churning out your units, start warping them in. Not sure exactly what you're doing, but just keep building your units. These Marines are just going to go ahead and let this Warp Prism warp in units. Oh, Jesus. Little tip for all you new players out there. Usually drop harassments are attacks done when your opponent does not know they're coming. So putting a warp prism, making them go all the way around, coming over here, maybe warping in some units here, putting them up in your warp prism, and then dropping them into the SCV line. That's what you want to do. You don't want to start warping in units when your opponent is right there. But that is a-okay. That is just fine. These guys are in bronze. That is no problemo for me. Double Colossi are being churned out. No upgrades just yet. Decent saturation over at the main base. The natural is going to go ahead and go up in time. Decent saturation, so these mineral fields still have plenty of minerals in them. Finally, the warp dunes do occur. Looks like it's going to be Zealot Immortal Colossus going up against, per the Marine Marauder ball of Pan. He's already putting down a bunker as a defensive structure. Obviously, he's putting down a second engineering bay. Wants to produce more planetary fortresses. Why not? And right now, both players are just gearing up, trying to get into their mid-game shenanigans. And looks like Cryptic is a bit supply blocked. But that's okay. These guys are bronze. No big deal. That was just a happy little accident on their part. This warp prism is still in the back and still ready to do some damage. But the forces of Pan are geared and primed, especially for where they need to be. There is a factory being put down by Pan, so more than likely going to go ahead and straight into medevac. I doubt he's going to go into any sort of siege tank play. Just from what he's been seeing so far, I think he just wants to go straight into the medevac, start healing up his units. But we already see a Colossus on the way, robotic, and it looks like extended thermal lance hasn't even been researched just yet. It looks like more Immortals and Colossi are being built. And it looks like another attack is going to happen. If I would like for him to have extended thermal lance, maybe a single extended thermal lance with a single observer here could do tons of damage, especially if your units are just kind of just hanging out, not doing much. Also, these Immortals are actually going to tear through these supply depots fairly quickly, fairly easily, and and this is going to be interesting. Both players' supply count is exactly the same. Looks like the forces are lined up and primed, especially where you need to do. The Immortals are doing tons of damage to that supply depot. Supply depot goes down very, very quickly. That bunker goes down very quickly as well. Pan still hasn't used his entire army into the fray, but the Zealots are done. Now it's just going to be pure Colossus, pure Immortal up against, looks like Marines. Finally, the rest of the forces do engage with Cryptic's forces, but looks like a nice stem forward, and the Colossus is taken out very, very quickly. The Immortals are down, especially with that Marine backup. Both Immortals are down very quickly. Taking a look at the resources lost tab, we actually see a very even on both times, and look at that brilliant play by Cryptic. As soon as the main forces are out of the base for Pan, he's just going to go ahead and warp in and take out all of these SCVs. Workers killed is 27, 28, 29, 30. This Colossi is going to go down without a fight, but the economic damage is done. There is nothing for Pan. This planetary fortress is going to take out these Zealots very easily. Taking a look at the income tab, it's virtually zero. There are no SCVs on the field to play for Pan, so this is going to be it. This is the final stage of the game, and this is a very deadly force going up against Cryptic. Hellions are being produced for the hell of it, but all that's left of Cryptic's forces are a single Immortal and a single Stalker. The rest of the Zealots are back here in the main base of Pan. Looks like there's going to be a little bit of a base trade going on. Right now, I would actually like to see Cryptic put down a single sentry. Could stop this army forever, and he can just play a game of attrition. Finally, the Cryptic does push forward, starts going to go ahead and pummel these units from afar. But as soon as Pan finds that Immortal, he's going to stem forward and take it out very, very quickly. Another Marauder goes down, and it looks like it's going to be probes versus Immortals and Marauders. The fray is done. The game is over. GG. And actually, there is still 3 Hellions on the field for Pan. The food count is 24 for Cryptic, 17 for Pan. Looks like those Hellions want no part of that just yet. There is still a single SCV, so mining is still a viable option for Pan, along with this orbital command and those OP mules. But right now, taking a look at the income tab, we see 380, 460, 500. So very, very basic stuff. This Immortal is going to go ahead and kill infinite amount of Hellions, but once those Marines on the field of play, they're going to churn through those shields very quickly. The third Hellion finally does go down. The Marines do finally stem forward and pick off this Immortal. The probes are finally going to go ahead and start turning into those Marines. A nice surround on those probes, on those Marines. A single Stalker is doing plenty of damage, but that is it for the game. Another Immortal does pop, and Cryptic leaves the game. GG. That's it. Game over. Cryptic, you had to won. A single sentry would have just finished off that entire army. So that was it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If not, leave a comment down below on what I could do to make these more enjoyable for you. Otherwise, I'm going to get on out of here.